Thanks so much for choosing us. Now, the Ghana Education Service says it fully backs the instructions of the Western Regional Director, demanding a full implementation of the policy on the payment of rent by teachers occupying government bungalows. Now, in a statement, the service says the letter was written following concerns raised by external auditors and the Public Accounts Committee over implementation failure. More on this shortly, but first, the teacher unions have been kicking against this directive. President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, Angel Kabunu, says if government forces its members to pay, they will quit the extra work they do that require them to have the bungalows.
Our teachers holding different responsibilities in the Ghana Education Service find themselves in bungalows. They'll be affected by it because this is a general public service situation. And the letter the regional director referred to was a directive that came from the Ministry of Finance. But let me tell you how this works. That all public servants who are in government bungalows are supposed to pay rent to government. However, government itself, all over the years, have come up with exemptions to certain people or certain officials in government bungalows. So certain officials who perform certain duties take the accommodation as part of their condition or conditions of service. So they are exempted.
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Teachers is demanding the immediate withdrawal of this directive. The association says the directive is against the spirit and the letter of the collective agreement enacted between the GES and the teacher unions back in August 2009. Let me bring you some more details on what it's been saying. It says our attention has been drawn to the above circular signed by Felicia Ejebia Okai, Mrs., the Western Regional Director of Education, and in essence applicable to all regional directors of education in Ghana, informing all teachers or staff occupying school government bungalows that effective 1st March 2022, they are to pay 10% of their basic salary as rent. We find this directive unfortunate and are dismayed at it since it is against the spirit and letter of the collective agreement enacted between the Ghana Education Service and the teacher unions in the Education Service on behalf of all teaching employees in the Ghana Education Service 2009 and the collective agreement for teaching staff within the Ghana Education Service August 2020. For the avoidance of doubt, we wish to remind the Ghana Education Service of Section 21I of the Collective Agreement 2009, which deals with staff accommodation and states without equivocation that headmasters, assistant headmasters, senior housemasters, principals, vice principals, head teachers, assistant head teachers, frontline ADs, and guidance and counseling officers in second cycle institutions shall be provided with free residential accommodation, emphasized, and that there is no residential accommodation, and that where there is no residential accommodation, the service shall be responsible for the rent of the officers concerned. The same shall apply to directors at the district, regional, or divisional levels. We go further to draw the attention of the Ghana Education Service to Section 19 of the Collective Agreement, August 2020, which also deals with staff accommodation and states again, without equivocation, that accommodation may be provided for the following category of staff. That's headmasters, assistant headmasters, senior housemasters, principals, vice principal, head teachers, assistant head teachers, frontline deputy directors and guidance and counseling officers, and chaplains and imams in second cycle institutions. We therefore wonder whether it is a deliberate, calculated attempt by the Ghana Education Service to renege on stipulations in the collective agreement, and if it is, caution that it will not hold, since it is both a breach of the union trust and an unfair labor decision or practice, where we are even more appalled with the Western Regional Directors Directive 2, and by implication the regional internal auditors and the regional accountants to ensure all arrears owed and are collected to avoid audit issues. So these are the crux of the issues raised by NAT in response to this thing. But the GES backs the decision by the regional director and has issued a statement to that effect as well. This is just coming in the last few hours. Let me bring you those details. It says management of the Ghana Education Service is aware of the recent public discussions of a letter issued by its Western Regional Director of Education on the above subject matter and wishes to issue the following clarification. For some time now, external auditors have raised queries on the issue of rent paid by some staff of GES occupying government bungalows as official accommodation. In the 2018 Auditor General's report on audits of pre-tertiary institutions, the issue was raised and the GES was summoned to appear before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament on the subject. In the specific case of the Western region, one of the institutions was queried for charging inadequate rent on staff occupying government bungalows of the schools. The auditor referenced the Finance Ministry's circular on 15 May 2006, which indicated that occupants of government bungalows are required to pay 10% of the basic salary as rent. Thus, the Western Regional Director's letter on 11th March 2022 was based on the recommendations of the external auditors and the directives of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament that GES should charge the appropriate rent on staff occupying government bungalows. So it goes on to say that they have given their full backing to this directive. Let's get some more clarity on this. Cassandra Chuma is head of Public Relations Unit at the Ghana Education Service, and she joins us on the line. Madam, I'm grateful for your time. One aspect of this statement that did not address quite clearly is the issue of arrears. What is the GES position on this? Because the Finance Ministry circular dates back to 2006. Will that apply necessarily?
Okay, good evening to your viewers. Yes, with the arrears, definitely we cannot say that those occupying the bungalows now are to pay arrears from that time till this moment. It could even be that those that occupied had already did not owe, or probably they paid their 10% basic salary. What the auditors recently discovered was that those currently occupying were not paying, and those that were paying less than the 10%. They discovered that the external auditors, discovered in the Western region specifically that some institutions had their staff paying 50 cedis for 3-bedroom flats, and then 25 cedis for 2 bedrooms, and then a chamber and hall, so to speak, for 18 cedis. So it was less than the 10% that they were required to pay. And that is the reason why they issued the query, and that is also the reason on that basis that the regional director issued the letter on the 11th of March, 2022. And for us as Ghana Education Service, yes, we are backing the regional director's letter because in 2018, just as I indicated, we have been dragged to appear before the Public Accounts Committee before on this same issue. We've always had external auditors raising this particular issue. And of course, we are no exception. We are also one of the government institutions in the country. And so whatever directives that come with respect to government bungalows where our staff are occupying, we also have to comply. We have to comply, So that is the reason why we are backing what the regional director also. And we have, in fact, as a matter of fact, also asked our cost center managers in the other regions to also do the same and to ensure that all those that are not paying or those that will also pay, so that we are not again.
But post-2006, there have been some developments which NAT today is drawing your attention to. The collective agreement that was enacted between GES and the unions, as well as recent as 2020, some agreements that had to do with additional duty that certain category of people will be performing, to which you agreed to give them free accommodation to enable them carry out these duties. Did you consider that before issuing these statements?
And as we had these concerns from that later, we were almost done with our statement, and that's the reason why in our last statement we indicated that yes, we've noted their concerns. In fact, we are planning to meet them in the coming days, as we have always done. Anytime they raise certain issues, we find time to invite them, and then we all sit down and then have a discussion, and then we come to.
Do we know when this meeting will be convened? Do we know when this meeting will be convened?
No, I can't tell you whether today or tomorrow or probably tomorrow next. But we are yet to extend the invitation to them so that the specific issues they have raised in their press release, we all sit down and look at them. Of course, we all know that these teacher unions are major stakeholders, and so we can't take them for granted.
And so until the issues...
About the welfare of the teachers, and so we will engage them and then get to understand what they are.
Very well. And so until the issues are ironed out, what you're saying essentially is that the teachers should pay until you reach any agreement or clarify the outstanding issues that the teacher unions are raising.
And as I indicated earlier, that as one of the public institutions in the country, we cannot just do anything anyhow. So if there's a directive from finance that all government, if you are a government worker, if you are occupying a government bungalow, you are supposed to pay 10% of your basic salary. I think it is for that reason that when the external auditors come, they query us on that all the time. I told you that we've been dragged before the PAC before on this very same issue. So, of course, we cannot direct that our teachers or whatever should not pay, because this is a general thing that cuts across all public institutions. However, these specific issues that they have raised, of course, we have a CPA with them, we have signed the CPA with them. So we'll sit down again, and then we'll look at the concerns, and then we will all come to an agreement as to what we all both sides have to do, and then we'll come back to you.
But as it stands now, there's a pushback. So what happens to those who fail to pay?
We haven't gotten that yet. Of course, the directive or the circular came from finance. If we appear before the Public Accounts Committee, we all know the implications of appearing before the PAC and being asked to do what you're not supposed to do, whether you be surcharged and everything. We haven't gotten that. The most important thing now is that we, as Ghana Education Service, wants to clarify that we cannot impose rent on our staff. We cannot also determine how much they are to pay for occupying a government bungalow. That is fundamental. That is what we have to let our teachers know. We cannot do that because the government bungalows are not for us.
Very well.
So that is what we all must
Madam,
understand.
I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Cassandra Chuman-Pofo. She's Head of Public Affairs or Public Relations at the Ghana Education Service.